Since Portra 400 is one of the most popular film stocks on this planet, developing a film look recipe for Portra is prone to criticism. People are familiar with it, maybe that's why I am reluctant to publish my experiment on a film look recipe for Portra, especially some experiments that I did on the Canon G series. Finally, this is the experiment of the Portra 400 recipe that I'm quite happy with on the Olympus pen E-P3. The recipe should work on any Olympus cameras that have the same layout setting. Please feel free to jump straight to the recipe. I will just show you some samples along the way. I'm not claiming that the result would be identical to the real Portra, but I did my research to be as close as possible to the real Portra. But of course, due to my limited knowledge as well as my camera's limitation setting, the result might be slightly off. So I did my research on the main characteristic look of Portra 400. I tried to compare some of the Portra 400 film recipe on Fujifilm cameras that are available, such as the one from Fuji X Weekly and Reichi. Then I stumbled upon a popular photography YouTuber called Guhi, who basically compared Fuji X Weekly's Portra recipe with the actual Portra 400 shot in a Leica M6. The results showed a pronounced difference between the two, with Fuji X Weekly's having a bit greenish tint and the actual Portra 400 leaning towards magenta color. So that became my first goal in my recipe, achieving a look that leans towards magenta color. Secondly, I want to mimic the look of photos from one of my favorite photographers based in Japan, Shin Noguchi. I love the look of his photos, and obviously he shot film, mainly Portra 400. So this recipe is my first attempt to mimic them. It might not be perfect, it might miss the actual look of Portra 400, you might not like it, and that's cool. I'm quite satisfied with the results. However, you might notice that the red color in this recipe is a bit too punchy. If that doesn't suit your liking, you can always adjust the saturation. So this is one of my favorite photos that I took during the experiment. I reckon that if I pick the right spot to mirror the photo that we want to make, like this one, the result might actually resemble the actual Portra more closely. So in this photo, I was deliberately exposing the shadow. On the right top corner, you might notice that the highlight is a bit blown up. I do not edit my photos, all of them are straight out of the camera, and this is one of my favorites of the day. You might notice those walls that lean towards magenta. I like how the mural on the wall added complexity to the background. The card in the background is called an angkringan, one of the cultural hallmarks of this city, Yogyakarta, where you can spend like $1 to $2 and make your stomach full or even less. This photo was shot in the early morning in Malioboro. You might notice that on the left you can see a card covered because the owner has not opened it for the day. This alley is supposed to be very busy during the day, but as you can see, not many people in the photo. So Malibu is often used as a jogging track in the early morning. I like to visit the place before I go to my office. So without further ado, here is the Kodak Portra 400 recipe for Olympus cameras, especially Olympus Pen EP3. Da, 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 da. For the ISO, you can set it to 400 to get that 400 speed film feeling, or just set it to auto. Set the white balance to sunny or the white balance shift. Set the A or amber for +5, or you can set it +4. I think +4 is enough, but for me, I like to make my photo a bit warmer, so I'm going to leave it at +5. Green -4. Picture mode portrait, as Portra is famous for portrait photography. Sharpness -2. Contrast, leave it at 0, and then set the saturation to +1. Gradation, set it to normal. Color space as RGB, and the face detection off. Yep, that's it. I think that's all. If you want more top secret hacks and tricks to transform your ancient cameras into Hollywood superstars, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to join me on this photographic roller coaster. Until next time, keep snapping and keep it budget tight. Au revoir.